afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular Taber Town Council meeting for November 24th, 2025. I will call the meeting to order and ask for adoption of the agenda, please. Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimous. Thank you. Item 3, public hearings. There are none. Item 4, adoption of minutes. Item 4.1, minutes of regular meeting of council November 10th, 2025. Mr. Thibault.
The minutes have no additions or deletions. Back over to council.
All right, thank you. Anything arising? I'm prepared to make that motion. Councilor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make the motion that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on November 10th, 2025 as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimous. Thank you. Item 4.2, minutes of special meeting of council November 17th, 2025. Mr. Thibault.
Again, no adjustments to the minutes. Back to council.
Once again, anything arising? So I'm prepared to make that motion. Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council adopts the minutes of the special meeting of council held on November 17th, 2025 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6, bylaws, none. Oh, sorry. Item 6.1, addressing bylaw. Addressing bylaw. Addressing. Mr. Thibault.
We'll have Ms. Hillary Jansen come forward and speak to the address bylaw.
Thank you. Ms. Jansen, welcome.
Good afternoon, Council, Mr. Mayor. I'm pleased to present to you today the Town of Taber's first addressing bylaw. And you might be wondering, well, why would we need an addressing bylaw? Well, there are certain things that come to light when you don't have an addressing bylaw that lead to inconsistencies in how properties are addressed, how they're displayed. All those things come into play. So we found this was a gap, and when I came here, I didn't realize this, but it had been in the works for quite a number of years before I came. So I think back to 2023 is when this was started. So I just kind of took up the baton and used what they already had and kind of carried it towards so that we could have it for consideration for you today and subsequent meetings if you so choose to proceed. So with regards to this particular addressing bylaw, we wanted to ensure our consistency with our residents, for emergency services personnel, so that everybody has the same addressing type, style, that when administration looks at addressing, that they have the ability to say, oh, this is consistent with what we've done previously, so there's not a lot of anomalies. There are going to be a few historic things that come up from time to time, but we can address those moving forward, or some of them might just stay as is unless they become problematic. So in the addressing bylaw, as in your agenda package, we've included the bylaw itself, along with Schedule A, which is the addressing manual. And within that addressing manual, it includes, once again, that consistency in how we address streets, how we name things, that kind of thing. I will note that, unfortunately, apparently, when you look at things a million times, you do miss the occasional item. In section 2.1 of the addressing bylaw, where it shows where north, south, east, west, odd, even numbers, the text is correct, but that infographic is wrong. It should be flipped. So I do apologize for that. We just noted it and it was brought to our attention, so that would be something that just a minor change there. With regards to the other components of the addressing bylaw, we have a schedule for a municipal addressing committee that would be of administration, just so that we have kind of a formalized process if somebody comes in with a request for a change of address, which does happen from time to time, or if they want to change a street, that we would consider it, and we would bring something like that forward to council for your consideration. And then also we have the addressing fees. Every bylaw typically has a fee structure, mostly if there's issues with compliance. So in addition to looking at this bylaw, as I said, it happened before my time here, but in carrying forward, I did send it out for circulation to our internal departments. And one thing that came up was with regards to addressing in laneways. This isn't a unique problem, obviously, to Taber. Lots of communities have laneways. But one thing that's been coming up is, like, say when you close a road to put in a new sewer line, and all your access is from the rear, there's no addressing to correspond with that in the rear. So some municipalities have started requiring addressing in their laneways. The city of Lethbridge is one very good example that did it. I do believe they did it about 4 or 5 years ago, pretty recently, where they imposed that requirement to have addressing on laneways so that emergency services or even, like yourself, you're going down, which is my gate. You can go into the right property. So that's something that we have included in this, which I just wanted to kind of highlight as that is something maybe a little bit different that you may have not thought about. So I just wanted you to consider that today. Upon approval of a bylaw of this nature, the town would create, town administration obviously would create an educational campaign to gain compliance and give residents and landowners a 2-year period. We want to give a very significant or generous grace period, and that can be as long or as short as council approving something like this would want, but 2 years seem to be adequate so that we could get compliance on that. So this would include ensuring that front-facing signage complies with kind of the design standards that we've put in or the regulations, and that properties with laneways would affix a address to their fence. After a 2-year period, this bylaw would become into full effect, and the bylaw enforcement would be addressed. Bylaw enforcement would address any compliance issues. So with that, that's very much in a nutshell what the addressing bylaw is about. I will turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Thank you so much for the presentation, Hillary, as well. Councillor Firth.
Not a question, just a comment. I didn't realize how detailed, like how much goes into an address. I thought it was just like so many things on council. You think it just happens, right? And then when you start to see the background of how things get done, it was enlightening. So thank you.
All right, any other questions? And I thank you so much, Hillary, for all your work. It's a lot of effort, a lot of work to deal with that, whether you picked up the ball or not. That's great. I just have a question. I'm not sure, with my background, law enforcement, this was tried some years back. And I don't recall all the details, but for whatever reason, it didn't follow through. Weren't able to follow through that. So I think, as I recall, it didn't go over so well with the public. Was the bottom line. So I don't know if Chief Monsod, could I ask you a question? Are you okay with that related to that address scenario from the emergency service perspective? In your mind,
Do you have any history, Mr. Monshaw, that you could provide us?
I don't have any history on the Town of Tabor's addressing bylaw at this point, one that we have moved forward or any.
yeah. Sorry, I meant more so your experience with anywhere else, something similar, or I think it's got some merit. A lot of merit for possibilities, but I guess from the emergency service perspective, it would be beneficial in a lot of ways. From your perspective, Chief.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, from an emergency perspective, when we're driving down in lanes that have addressing to the front side in the nighttime, it can be quite difficult. When we close roads down and we have police, ambulance, or fire trying to get to an address on a laneway and trying to identify that house in the proper when minutes count, this would assist us greatly. And as you know, our community is going through a lot of changes with adding water, sewer to the front yards and closing complete blocks down, which makes our ability to get to residents very difficult. This would assist us greatly in getting to those right addresses in a prompt manner.
Right.
Right now, we have 2 emergency services in the Town of Tabor, one done provincially, though, with AHS. This addressing goes to their mapping system as well, and so they would be able to link to that appropriately as well.
Okay, thank you. And just a question back to yourself, Hillary. Some other models elsewhere, I understand some others out there that were compared to, is that right also?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so we did an extensive, previously to myself, and then also when I was looking into it, we did research on different types of addressing bylaws throughout the province. Many communities, a smaller size, bigger size than the Town of Tabor, have addressing bylaws. Some are simpler, some are more complex. This was kind of one that worked in terms of what we felt was a good mix of what was required, with enough detail that people feel confident in kind of what's going on within the community. So yes, we did do some research, definitely into what other communities were doing.
Great, thank you. Councilor Redford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess, Taylor, I got just 2 questions. As of right now, I imagine most of the houses that have been up for a long time, we're not going to have a problem unless, there's an issue where somebody, health services or emergency services goes there and there's not one. Maybe they'd have to put one up. But regarding the back fencing, like that would all be pretty new, right? Now, lots of people do their own and like it fancy, so half of the people are going to do it themselves. But some people there's going to be a cost in that education and stuff like that. Is the town looking into any program like where they would, be able to, because there's going to be some pushback on costs. Like I don't want to say it's $20, it's $10. It all depends what you want to spend. But I was just wondering if the town looked into any costing if they had to do some of it.
Just to clarify, Councillor Renford, if the town would,
Yes, like if 50% of the people, didn't do it, we could fine them all, right? I doubt that's the way we're going to go, right? So, is there any thought of cost?
we did look at like you go to the dollar store and you can buy those little sticker signed like numbers like for a few dollars. So, I mean, the costing would be depending on, I guess, the length of your address would be, like it could be anywhere from say $10 to maybe $25, depending on how many letters you have to purchase. So, but we didn't look into contributing to that cost, not as part of that. But if that is the direction of council, we can look into that as part of that, what the cost would be if we wanted to contribute to, offset those fees. That's something that we could bring forward at, if that's something that you would want us to look into.
All right, thank you. Councillor Sorensen?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, in just relation, like a kind of a subsidizing, since we're forcing residents to have a numbering system, so that would be something maybe we could look into. And then, like this details, like what if people want to put fancy rocks in their yard with a number? Like, does this allow people to personalize their house number?
Thank you, Councillor Sorensen, through the mayor. It would allow for people to have, their uniqueness. We just don't want something where it's like a rock that is a foot off the ground and then a snowy day comes and it's covered. Like that would defeat the purpose of having an address. So we do want to have house addresses that would, be visible of 365 days of the year.
Okay.
So there is some give and take. Like you could have a rock with a number, but we would probably also want to have that address on a house just to ensure that there's some clarity. This is what this is.
All right,
Okay,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Mr. Thibault?
My comments to council would just be if we're asked to look at some kind of an incentive, it doesn't have to be part of the bylaw. We can look at some kind of an incentive after the education portion of the education piece and see where we're sitting at that point in time. So it certainly doesn't have to happen today. Also wanted to bring up that Chief Abella did come back with some concerns around actually enforcement for this, which is not a fun job, and he doesn't have to do that today. So that was a concern that was brought forward, but we have lots of other bylaws where enforcement is sort of complaint driven, and so I don't know how this one would be any different. We're certainly not expecting this particular bylaw to be treated any differently than any other bylaw that's currently complaint driven. So.
Yeah.
But we did note that concern.
Yeah, thank you. No, I was going to ask something similar with that. I'm not so sure I'm keen on the penalty side of things there. It's designed for help to the community / emergency service members more than anything. So help for anybody in some kind of medical distress or police requirement scenario. So to have to penalize somebody because they don't put their address on their back gate or whatever seems to be a little harsh when it's about a community thing. You know what I mean? So, and I know, I get it, the bylaw, that's what a bylaw is for, to set up for that purpose if there's non-compliance. But in this case, it's a community benefit, and it seems a little harsh. So to help people along, either we look at something for a funding source to make sure there's no burden on anybody else for whether it's $10 or $110. That would be my preference, but that's just an observation. Thank you. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's been some good points brought up. I'm interested to hear what the public, how they feel about this and what they have to say. So my intention is to give the bylaw first reading, and then we can receive feedback from the public. So I'm prepared to do that now.
All right, thank you.
I move that town council gives first reading to bylaw 20-2025.
All right, thank you, Councilor Schwartz. Any question also?
No, I support that motion.
Okay, all right. Thank you. We do have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hillary. On to action items. Item 7.1, recognition request. Mr. Tebow.
So we have in the audience Ms. Jan Clemens, and I believe she's here to do a little presentation. So Jan, feel free to come up to the front. I just put some other of your paraphernalia on that chair. It was sitting up on the desk before, so if you pull out that chair, I will bring the slideshow up, and you can, I think this is it here, and then you can use the mouse that's there. And you can sit or you can stand, or you could do that. Yes, you could. Perfect.
And Jan, welcome. Welcome. Get your mic on there. Yeah. There.
I have to have a mic. My name is Jan Clemens. I'm very proud to be here to talk to you a little bit about the World Transplant Games, which I attended this August 17th to the 24th in Dresden, Germany. And I was very proud to participate and to represent not only Tabor, but our province of Alberta and our wonderful country of Canada. So the main reason why I want to be here is because without the pool to help make me healthy after my kidney transplant, I wouldn't be this beacon of hope for other transplant recipients. And I just have a lot of gratitude for the town of Tabor for the support that they've always given me for our Green Shirt Day events, and the wonderful staff at the swimming pool. They're just amazing. And they bring in lots of regulars that we love to support each other in all of our endeavors. Whether we swim fast or slow, we're there. And it's a great way for us as townspeople to keep healthy and introduce swimming, which is a lifelong, wonderful support. And it's very, very important for our youth to have the opportunity to have our pool facilities, to have the safety feature of learning how to swim and be safe in the water throughout their lives. The World Transplant Games are offered for the summer sports every odd number of years. So in 2025, they were held in Dresden, Germany, in 2023 in Perth, Australia, which I was also able to attend with my daughters. And in 2027, they will be held in Belgium. In Canada, we don't have a mass amount of participants, so anybody that wants to go gets to go. We don't have to qualify, so that's pretty wonderful. On the even years, we hold national transplant games. Last year they were in Ottawa, and next year they will be in Sherbrooke, Quebec. And so this is something that after my transplant, I was able to learn about, and I've always been very heavily involved in the Canadian Kidney Foundation, and my daughters both have the same disease that I have. I got it from my dad, and he got it from his mom. And so as it is a genetic disease, we're very invested in research to try to find cures and treatments for everybody that has transplants and everybody that has kidney disease. So there were 51 countries that participated in the transplant games this year, and there were 17 different sports, everything from cycling and track and field to darts and pétanque, which is kind of like bocce ball, and of course swimming, and we had a 5K, and we had volleyball, and we had squash and tennis, and just a wide variety of sports. It was really wonderful. I little bit of background that I received my kidney from my son Blair. He was my living donor August 29th in 2018. And so that is our life day. I have a birthday in July and a life day in August. And so because of the gift of life that he gave me, I am now healthy and off dialysis and able to be an advocate not only for Kidney Foundation, but also for transplants. At the games, we actually had 2,500 participants, and Canada did exceptionally well. We placed 6th out of the 51 countries, so we were really proud to be Canadian. So these are just a variety of some of the pictures. The guy that's holding up 2 fingers, that's because he has donated 2 organs. His name is Bennett. He's from the U.S. and he hung out at the pool because he was one of the swimmers participating. Bennett donated his kidney anonymously, and then he heard a couple of years down the road, he heard that a young girl needed a liver transplant, and so he said, I can do that too. So the transplant games are just an amazing opportunity for us to hear stories of other people and other families that have gone through loss and tragedy. The people that are in the top left-hand corner, the gal in the orange shirt, she donated a kidney to her husband who is behind her. In the bottom, the young man, he's middle-aged guy, I guess, Benoit, he received a kidney from his mom, who is Sylvie, and they are in the bottom right-hand corner. In the middle, on the right-hand corner, you'll see Jill and her mom Bonnie, and they both have a familiar liver disease, so they've both been transplanted as well. In the bottom left-hand corner, the fellow that's sitting in the white shirt in the middle, he's a stem cell transplant recipient, and although his disease is incurable, he's living on borrowed time and making the best of every day that he has. So the highlights for me, I've loved to swim since I was a little girl, and it's nice as an old gal from a small town to be able to swim again. And so these are most of the medals that I got. I always try to get 1 gold medal to give to my son, and so I was able to do that. But in individual events, I got 2 firsts, a second, and a third. In our relays, we got 2 thirds, but we got nosed out by another third by the Netherlands. They beat us by 2/100ths of a second, so great. The town was gracious enough to give me lots and lots of pins, and it's a tradition at the transplant games to exchange pins with people from other countries. And so it was really fun for me to take my pins. So I had my Tabor pins, my Alberta pins, and my Canada pins. And people are looking for a pin that's not like anybody else's pin. So when I had sugar beet pins and corn cob pins, my goodness, people came looking for me. It was really awesome. We also, when I went to Perth, some of us exchanged swimming caps. So I got a couple extra swimming caps from Canada and traded with the Brits and traded with the Germans, and they also had swimming caps for the transplant games, which were really fun. So again, this shows all the different flags of all the different countries, and we were really proud to represent Canada. Of all the 2,500 participants that were there, you can see the numbers. The reason to give is obvious, that 16,312 extra years of life have been given to us, and that is almost 6 million extra days for all of us that were participants there. So this was our swim group. We had swimmers from BC, we had swimmers from Alberta, Quebec, and Ontario. And we were old and young, and many of us had met either in Ottawa last year or in Perth before. And that was our facility. It was an amazing 50-meter pool. our Tabor pool, I just feel like I'm so lucky to have such amazing facilities to train in. And most people only have a 25-meter pool as well. When we get to that big, long 50-meter pool, it's a little bit daunting for some of our events. The track and field events were all held in this amazing, beautiful stadium. And you can see the stage that they had there. During the opening ceremonies, we made a parade of all the nations, one by one, big, long parade, all through the town of Dresden that was near the stadium. And then we came into the stadium and were seated. But always at the transplant games, the donors are the last to enter the stadium because we wouldn't be there without our donors. So they obviously always get a standing ovation because they're the reason that we're able to be there and be healthy and to participate. So it was a really great experience. My heart's always filled with lots of gratitude and as the Boulay family has always said, we need to register, we need to tell our family, because even if you register as an organ donor, if you don't share that information with your family, they don't know what your wishes are and you're unable to speak for yourself. So your family can override your wishes unless you share that with them and make it very clear that you would like to be a donor. And then also the last little phrase that the Boulay family always say is to be inspired, and I always certainly am. So friendships grow over the years. We meet people from all over the world. I just wanted to share one story with you. There's a family right here. The young girl that is standing there, she's 14 years old now, and she's standing there with, her name is Addison, and she's standing with her mom, and her mom is Elaine. Addison was 3 weeks old when she needed a heart transplant and was on the verge of death. And a donor was found, another baby was not able to be saved, and that baby lived in Nevada. So the heart was flown from Nevada to British Columbia. They live in the Vancouver area. So Addison has never known any other life but organ donation, and her family has embraced the transplant games with gusto. So at the transplant games, she's now 14 years old. This was her 5th World Transplant Games because she participated her first time when she was 4 years old. She was the youngest participant and on the track and running as hard as she could. That was long before I even had my transplant. This was a very, very special transplant games for Addison because the mom of the donor baby, Audrey, was there. The mom's name is Felicia. And so Felicia came. She was on Team USA, but she hung out with Team Canada the whole week. And it was very moving for us at the track and at this pool side, because when Addison got done with her event and she won her medal, she said, "This is for Felicia." She came over and gave Felicia a big hug, and for Felicia to feel Audrey's heart beating inside her in Addison, that was, it just is amazing. And the week is just full of all of these inspirational stories that where parents donate to their kids, kids donate to their parents, husbands donate to their wives, and we're all immensely grateful for the gift of life. So these are some pictures from the closing ceremonies and the flags that flew outside of our main event. Our team manager, Allison, is in the very bottom with her husband, Jonathan, and she's from Newfoundland, so we represent Canada from coast to coast to coast. So at the closing ceremonies, they brought all the managers to the infield of the stadium, and then they asked all of the donors to come around them as a second circle. And then all of us as recipients, we were on the perimeter of the field and we were allowed to rush the field. And we all came in and had a big giant hug. So without our donors, none of us would be able to have been there or have the life and the full, rich life that we do. So I just want to thank you for all of the support that you always give me for every awareness event. Fly the Green Shirt Day flag. Allow me to put a notice on our digital sign. The Golden Suns always host a Green Shirt Day at the rink event, and Bernie and Toby Boulay come from Lethbridge and help out with that. And I just wanted to leave this for the town. It's just a thank you for all of you. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Jan, and congratulations on a job well done. And you represented Taber, Alberta, and Canada very well, and that's impressive. And I see your passion, and this is incredible for what you've done and what you continue to do for the advocacy of transplants. And we wish you well in the future as well. So, also, any other comments council members might have for Jan? We thank you so much, and we do have a small token of our appreciation for you, also, Jan.
Oh, well, you don't need to do that.
Well,
you guys are the ones that give me the pool.
Well, we want to do this for you also, and we're happy to do this for you. And maybe we actually have you take a photo with us all as council.
Oh,
if you
I'd
don't
love
mind
that. Yeah. Thank you.
That'd be great.
There, somebody can take one on mine too. That would be great. Thanks.
Should we hold some of this?
I like hugs.
You want to hold something like this?
Oh, you can hold that. Put it around your neck.
Tight now.
And we thank you again, Jan, for being here and presenting those today as well. Appreciate that very much. I believe we have a motion required for that, do we? Is it not? Oh, sir. Okay.
Emotion.
Pardon me?
Emotion.
Emotion. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, all right. Thank you again, Jen. Right, moving on to item 7.2, DP 25-1692 Meadows Way multi-unit dwelling, 4 units. Mr. Table, Councilor Antonik.
This is the same property that I had a conflict of interest with in the last meeting, so I got to step out again.
Okay, very well, thank you. All right.
Good, and I'll have Hillary Jensen and Selena Newberry come forward and present this to council.
Good afternoon again, Mayor
Good
and
afternoon.
Council. I feel like that was a really good presentation. I don't
Yes,
think I
it
can
was.
live up to that. I'm sorry.
Absolutely, but that's all right.
This may be a little less exciting. That was awesome. So with regards to development permit 25-169 being 2 Meadows Way for a multi-unit dwelling for 4 units on a parcel within the Meadows subdivision. The information presented in your package is exactly the same as it was on November the 10th. You may have noticed that. There was no additions done that way. I thought instead we would just do a verbal recap of what happened at the last meeting, and then you as council can deliberate your decision on this particular application. So in addition to the information that was presented to you at the public hearing, I just have the following comments, kind of like a synopsis of what happened. The applicant at the public hearing did indicate that he would rescind his application. The administration did promptly reach out to Mr. Tams to see if he indeed did want to withdraw the application. We did send him an email. We contacted him via phone and gave him an opportunity to withdraw, and he did not submit that withdrawal. So with that, we're just presenting this application as it were, the last meeting, for you to consider in terms of either approval or refusal of the 4-unit dwelling unit. Just in terms of the application itself, just a little bit of a recap, it is a discretionary use. It's council's discretion to decide on this type of application. We just provide advice to you as to how it fits in with the bylaw. The application, the lot itself is 1.5 times the size of a regular lot in the Meadows. They are asking for a parking variance from 8 parking stalls to 7. The height of the structure is 52% higher than what the bylaw says it would be for, say, a modular home or the slab-on-grade home. So 6.84 meters versus the 4.5 that's in the bylaw. We don't have a height maximum for multi-unit, so just kind of keep that into consideration. There was also the information as presented by some of the landowners, or a representative of the landowners in there, where they did have a number of concerns with regards to the application, and that was noted in the minutes that were presented and approved this morning, or this afternoon, sorry. I do believe that provides a synopsis for you of what happened. In terms of the recommendations, we have just recommended a discussion of council to determine what you see best. There are some options. You can, there are 3 options that we've provided that you can approve with conditions, you can refuse, or you could approve and amend conditions. Those are typically the 3 alternatives that you would have to discuss amongst yourself today. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councilor Rufford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess, so, weirdly, we had 2 weeks to think about this. I know, Mr. Tams did not bring up the rescinding, but however, he's let it stand, so I think, as, me as a councilor, I'm just gonna look at it as it is. So, I know our strategic planning, I'm pretty sure, if Darren if I'm wrong, you can chime in, is we have multi-family units on there. So this is a multi-family unit, so it kind of hits where we've aligned there. I asked administration about costing. I know with the slab-on grade, we're in that a little over 300,000. It looks like this would be about 215,000 per place. So we are more affordable, and I'm not saying it's affordable housing, right? I know that the Meadows has kind of was stigmatized as affordable housing, but kind of has been talked like it went too high. But these do seem to be, more affordable. If we don't go, so that was a plus. I know maybe the Meadows wasn't what it was originally thought, but I think me as a counselor has to look at it today. Not that if council 10 years ago would have done something different, or council 4 years ago would have done something different, or 2 years ago. So I'm looking at it hits our strategic planning. It's more affordable in cost than the units out there. So I know it's we don't have basements. That's kind of one thing that's on that. We kind of set them up not to have basements on their website, stuff like that. However, it is under direct control. So I'm not saying that we can do whatever. And I guess to Hillary, one question on the height. You're just saying the height out there we're a variance above, but we have, we do have, it's just for out there. It's not like a variance the town has. Like, you kind of get what I'm saying? Right?
Yes, Councillor Remford through the mayor. With regards to the height, it's just in relation to what the height is allowable for, like the modular homes and the slab-on grades. Their height has to be 4.5 meters.
Yes.
The multi-units, because of how that bylaw was amended, it wasn't necessarily amended holistically to provide great regulations for multi-unit. So I'm just giving you the point of reference. So if they're 4.5 and this is 6.8.
Yes.
That's the discrepancy between.
So there might be a multi-unit that is not 52% higher than in town. You know what I mean?
That's
Right,
cool.
yeah, right,
Just for the meadow.
So that's why, I mean, after looking at that, I do understand the, I rescind it and take it, and you took it back, I get that, maybe feeling, but, I mean, it's on the agenda, so it's just, I wanted to make a few of them points, and, you know, be in support of it, so, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Hillary.
Thank you, Councillor Renford. Anything else arising? Councillor Sparks, Deputy Mayor Sparks.
So, as applications are made at the Meadows or anywhere else, anyone who is building or developing or doing whatever they need, they know exactly what the rules and regulations are in a development like that. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct, as per the land use bylaw.
Okay. So they're well aware what the setbacks are, building heights, parking stalls per unit. They're well aware of that before they even start to build. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Now, there's some good things going on in the Meadows. There are some people building homes, one-level homes that are really nice-looking homes and things like that. They're really nice. They're doing a very nice job out there. Of course, the residents that are building these one-level homes have a huge concern with this application and with what's going on out there. Just in my humble opinion, it seems that there's a notion within the Meadows that, well, at times I think it's very confusing because the rules regarding building out there seem to change. And there's people that make application and they change whatever bylaws are going on out there or ask for changes. And so there's a lot of confusion out there. And within the homeowners out there, it seems to be the opinion that it's better to do what you want and ask for forgiveness than to stick with the bylaw. And I think that we need to make sure, if there's a bylaw there, that the bylaw is being adhered to, and building and development adheres to the bylaw. Because there's been, I know that the Meadows, the council of the day wanted it to be a more affordable housing, and I applaud them for taking on that challenge. Yes, it didn't work out the way that maybe people wanted, but this is an issue that every town and city within Canada is facing this time, is affordable housing. And it's not a council directive to do that. There's no way that council can have anything to do with that. And so I personally am not in favor of the application. I think that if there's bylaws out there and stipulations set in place regarding building, that they need to be adhered to by everybody. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good points made by both Councillor Renford and Councillor Sparks, or Deputy Mayor Sparks. I think that, yes, it does in some ways fit this development, fits the purpose of the Meadows. And I agree that, yes, but it doesn't fit neatly within the bylaw. And there is a need to be flexible sometimes. And that's why council has the authority to grant variances when necessary. But just based on what we heard at the public hearing, I know that the developer has chosen to not rescind his application, but I think just based on what we heard, I would not be in favor of this moving forward. But that said, I'm not opposed to the concept of multifamily in the Meadows area, but just not in favor of this one at this time.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Councilor Reffert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm ready to make alternative one and kind of see where we end up. So I'd like to make a motion that council approves development permit DP 25-169 for multi-unit dwelling 4 unit at 2 Meadows Way, Unit 106, Condo Plan 2510388, with the following 11 conditions and informative.
All right, thank you, and thank you. Just for my comments, I'd also like to support that motion. And also, just a clarification, I guess it's more so for me, as has been said, the Meadows may not have worked out like we planned there originally, but it's moving along now, and things are looking better out there all the time. But I guess what came up, and I had a question for Mr. Tebow, and he graciously looked into that for me about this went to direct control. Mr. Tebow, is that correct? Like 3 years ago, roughly? Is that right? 3 years ago, that's when this changed, when we were talking about the flexibility type thing. And
Yeah, I don't remember the exact date, but we definitely did do an update to the land use bylaw to allow more flexibility for stick builds and slab on grade, because originally
Right.
that was not
Right.
part of the Meadows. So that's the changes that I know we have made, unless I'm missing something else, Hillary.
Thank you to you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
With regards to the bylaw, it was always a direct control bylaw. It was just amended to allow for some additional flexibility so that the direct controlness of it has always been there for council's discretion.
Okay, and I remember some of those discussions, and there may not have been a motion that came out regarding that per se, but there was a lot of discussion about that. And, the fact that we definitely need housing, that's a pressure on all communities in the country, for that matter. And just another comparison question, the one that's looking to go out at Ernest Meyer Park, is that not a 2-story type of a height scenario, something similar? I'm just going from memory, but I haven't seen that for a while. But is that accurate, or is it just one level? I thought it was 2. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That is a completely different type of application, but
Yeah.
it is for an apartment style building.
That's what I'm saying.
not-
So it's a height. I know. Well, I'm saying it's residential. So it is a 2-story type of a deal.
I don't know the exact height of it.
Okay.
It's more than 2 stories, though.
It is more. Okay. Thank you. So I guess that's where I'm struggling, and the pressures that we all have to deal with housing, the need for that, and it's very hard to please everybody, no matter what you do or don't do. But all things considered, it looks like a reasonable concept, and no, it's not going to make everybody happy for sure, but it does achieve the housing requirements, and I would support that motion as well. So, Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just to clarify, there is a multi-unit complex in this area already.
Thank you, Councillor Sorensen, through the mayor. Yes, those were the ones that were built prior to obtaining their permits.
Right. Okay. But council did approve that and give the variance for that. And my comment would be that we don't want to stop building and adding multi-purpose housing in that area. I believe this is moving forward in the right direction, and I would be in favor of this. This developer has future investment in the area also, and so I would hate for that to halt based on just us wanting to continue to provide low or better housing for our residents.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth.
Some really good points made. I think that perhaps, based on the points that my fellow councilors have made, that I think I've changed my mind. So I would be in favor of the motion that Councillor Rumpert made.
All right, thank you. Anything else arising Deputy Mayor Sparks.
I'm gonna throw that thing through the window.
got 4 years.
Previously at the Meadows, there has been issues with non-compliance. And maybe not having the proper checks and balances in place before construction. And we need to remind ourselves about that. And there was some things allowed to carry on that maybe shouldn't have. And I'm not against development, one bit. No, I'm not against development. I'm against gray areas and bylaws not being followed. That's what I'm against. Not against development. We need development. But the proper checks and balances are there for a reason, fellow councilors. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We do have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. On to item 7.3, Natagawa Friendship Society delegation requests. Mr. Tebow.
This is in front of council. I don't have a real good history on this. The back and forth, when I first came here, COVID was around, and so I wasn't participating in the back and forth in this. We have had the requests come forward. I know the request has come forward in the past. I can tell council that we have done exchanges like this in the past. Gashiomi coming here and us going there, and we are twins. So administration has put this request forward to council. If there is some interest, administration would do some more work and come back to council with some cost and some dates and that sort of thing. But we didn't want to get going on that until council let us know if we did or didn't want to go forward with however many folks that we might think we might want to send. So again, we have done it in the past, and there's been some variations on that. So back over to council. Mayor, I know you were around for one of these. I think even Deputy Mayor Sparks was around for one of these in the past. So if you had any more information to share, that would be great.
All right, thank you. Councilor Reffert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I sat in on the agenda setting, and Councilor Sparks, Deputy Mayor Sparks, and Mayor Prokop brought up that it had been done in the past, but at the cost of the councilor. And Deputy Mayor Sparks brought up a real good one where it was given out to, I believe, the schools, and the schools put a delegation together and fundraised for it. You know, I think that, you know, as a friendship thing, that would be a better view of it. I mean, it would be great to go. I mean, I'm not saying I'd go, but I look at it, them two ideas, especially the student one, I thought was really, really good. And I mean, if in the past councilors, you know, paid their own way, I mean, I imagine you get treated over there pretty nice, right? So I mean, a plane ticket and them taking care of you is probably a lot of fun. So it'd probably be worth the plane ticket.
All right, thank you. Councilor Wiebe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to begin by saying that I truly value this twinning relationship. It has cultural and educational significance, and it reflects positively on our community. Maintaining and strengthening that relationship matters, but I agree with Councillor Rempert. I believe that we have a responsibility to be mindful of how we use taxpayer dollars. At this time, I'm not confident that sending a councillor on a publicly funded international trip is the best use of those funds. While the trip has merit, I think we need to be consistent with our commitment to fiscal responsibility and demonstrate that we have considered the financial expectations of our residents in every decision.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Councilor Atanak.
Just a comment to add, I actually went on it when I was 12 from the student side. And the interesting thing in the agenda as I was reading it, it said there was mostly adults and only 2 or 3 youth, which is kind of, it was mind-boggling to me because when we went, it was probably, I think there was like a dozen kids and 4 adults. They were chaperones for the youth. So I'm not exactly sure, I have a child who's in grade 7, and like I'm not saying like not using town's money, but I'd be curious like if there was fundraising to do that with my son, and then I could represent the council as well in that way. But right now it just seems like it's an adult trip. So that's That's what I've seen so far in the agenda in the packet that I saw. So that's my comments on it. I have good memories of it. I wish I would have gone when I was a little bit older. 12 is a little young, or I think I was 11 and I don't remember a lot of stuff. So it would be cool to be a part of it again too as well.
All right, thank you. So, yeah, for myself and maybe Deputy Mayor Sparks can help me out here, but this goes back, I think, 40 some odd years, correct? Somewhere there? 40 plus years, right? Back in the 80s, I think, yeah. So, and my recollection, Councilor Stravos did go on his own dime, I think, twice, I think, if I recall that correctly. But overall, what I do recall is, for the most part, it's an educational and or cultural exchange where we're sending delegation over there with some adult chaperones, as Councilor Antonek indicated, and or they're coming here to the same kind of exchange. So there's usually a dinner type of get-together that councils, all councils are invited to, and it's a very good program, but I'm not so sure I would agree with the council side per se. I know council members have gone in the past. I think even maybe the police chief, I think sometime back, if I recall that correctly, but and administration, I think, on some occasions as well. So although it's a great twinning opportunity, it's been around for 40 plus years, but I'm leaning towards Councilor Weeb's suggestion about the taxpayer money justification, I guess, as far as that goes, probably not the best in that regard as well. Councilor Everett?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was, I guess, to Mr. Tebow. So number one, the council expresses support for the principal and participating. Would you look into the expanding it to something that Councilor Adilak was talking about? Would that cover it in number one? Or would that be number one, just be you looking at one of us or council going?
Yeah, I think alternative one was intended to be for council members. An alternative that might be suitable is that you just accept it for information, and that you could also ask information or ask administration to potentially look at something for the children. Like, I don't know what they're doing, right? So we could definitely ask the question. We could inquire with the society a bit more. But if there's no appetite for any council members, I would say accept it for information and direct administration to ask the society about their plans for children attending, because they do mention in here that it is mostly adults and there were 2 or 3 students to go. So there's more information to be had from the society, I guess.
All right, thank you. Councilor Sorensen?
So on the flip side, when we have them coming over here, what's the taxpayers or the town's commitment as having delegation? I'm not sure if.
Yeah, when administration was looking for both sides of that equation, we haven't found anything in our system that suggests that either we have paid for someone to go or that we have paid for someone to arrive. So we don't have any detailed information around costs. So that suggests to me that we haven't put out any money for them to arrive, other than maybe, we had some meals or presentations or tours or things like that. But paying for hotels and plane tickets, we can't find anything like that.
No, there's always a dinner. I know we put on a dinner when they're here for sure, and I believe it's town sponsored, if I remember correctly. Councilor
Yeah.
Frith?
Oh, sorry. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't just the for them to come here, but then we do host them in the community a little bit.
Yeah, we have provided tours, I believe, in the past, and if there was a dinner, then that as well. But that's kind of the extent of our. I think maybe there's more stuff happening on the kids' side of the equation or through the schools or the society, but the town itself, facility tours is what we found, and perhaps a dinner.
Right.
Can I just make one more comment? Sorry. So I think it's important that if a council member does attend, that it is council representation, whether we pay for it or not. I still think it should be shown in the minutes that we're attending on behalf of the town of Taber. So that would be my comment, is even just to get more information, and even if we are paying by ourselves, that it is shown as we're a delegate.
Right. Thank you. Councilor Firth?
Thank you. Some good points. I think that, yes, I agree council needs to be responsible with taxpayer funds. But I think if council chooses to send a representative and the person is attending on behalf of and as a representative of council, it shouldn't necessarily cost to that individual for what would essentially be a work event. If council is choosing to send somebody, I think that if the individual chooses to pay their own way, then that's fine, but I think that the option should be there. I don't think it should cost them out of pocket for an event that is representing council on behalf of the town.
All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor Sparks.
Yes, and just some background. Originally, it was felt that this twinning may open some trade opportunities between the town of Taber and Japan. That's the original deal with it. When this first started, council or the town of Taber sponsored one council member to go and paid their plane ticket. One. Okay? That's how it was. There was probably 4 chaperones from different schools, from St. Mary's or wherever, and there was at least a dozen kids. And that's how this originally started. And so when they come back, these individuals from Japan, there was a meal for them, a dinner, and tours around to different facilities and different areas within the town to promote the town so they could see. And so that's how it was. Councillor Stroas of the day, he decided on his own to pay his own way. Okay, it wasn't, we're not paying, he just decided on his own. And so it used to be one member of council, their way was paid, they went with chaperones and kids, they visited, the Natagawa Society came back, there was a dinner, some tours. It didn't cost the town of Taber anything for them to come here but the tours and the dinner. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor Sorensen.
Yeah, I'm interested in finding out more information, so I'd be prepared to make a motion that council expresses support in principle for participating in the June 2026 delegation to Hagassomi. Sorry, I don't know how to. Yeah, good time for my mic to cut out. Pending confirmation of dates and expected costs and direct administration to liaise with the Taber Natagawa Friendship Society to obtain preliminary high-level information before returning to council with a recommendation.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Oh, sorry.
A friendly amendment to have the council, to administration to ask the Friendship Society to inquire on a student portion to go to, like maybe they can talk to them when they do their little bit of negotiations, they get a little more information on students going. It's up to you.
Mr. Tebow?
Councillor Renford, I think the way that it's worded, the preliminary high-level information, we can include that as part of the information package.
Deputy Mayor Sparks?
Say it goes you me again.
Deputy Mayor Sparks, you had a question also? You're good? Okay. All right, so do you have a motion on the table? All right, all in favor? Carry unanimously, thank you. All right, on to item 7.4, Municipal Signing Authority. Mr. Tebow.
We'll have Mr. Rob Osmond come forward and run council through what we're proposing here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Osmond. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for council. So our signing authorization of municipal documents policy, ADM 10, is up for renewal, and administration has put together a revised policy for your consideration. This policy aligns with section 213, subsection 4, subsection B of the Municipal Government Act, which provides for council to delegate the signing of a number of different document types from the mayor and CAO to the CAO and another member of administration. This section is in the MGA specifically providing this opportunity for municipalities when they feel that there's a need administratively to change the way that it's outlined in the Act. So when we look at this, we know that checks and other negotiable instruments are approved by council. And so this policy, although it changes who signs the documents, it doesn't change the fact that any document before it's signed needs to have an approval from council. So whether that's approval through a motion or through the budget, it must receive approval from council before it can proceed forward. Once it has that approval from council as a whole, the physical signatures on the documents are just perfunctory piece that we add to these instruments to make them official. It's the authorization by council as a whole that makes them official. So when we talk about that, council's authorization by budget or motion still is the decision point as to whether something can be addressed. We know through the EOEP training that council has taken as part of their orientation that council in their governance role has a liability granted to them in the Municipal Government Act, so that when acting within the role of governance, they are protected from liability in their actions. We also know from this training that the MGA also clearly defines the governance role as being separate from the administrative or operations role. And so that's one of the things that we want to do here. The act of approving a budget or making a motion to approve an action is a governance role of council. But physically putting signatures on the checks, it isn't a governance role per se. It's just a perfunctory piece that we use to sign our documents. There is an operational role to signing these documents as well, and I think probably the one I'll speak to the most is happens within the Corporate Services Department, and that's the signing of checks. Checks, when we make payments, are approved either by a motion or in the budget. Once we have that approval from council, we go through the process. And so that council is familiar when a budget manager, anybody in the organization who has authority to purchase, they, within their purchase authority and within their authorized budgets, will make a purchase. That purchase is then reviewed by their manager or director. Then it's forwarded to corporate services for processing, where the accounts payable clerk will review the invoice, the signatures of both the budget manager and the purchasing manager, budgets, account coding, all of those things. It is then reviewed by the manager of finance before arriving on my desk as the director to provide a fifth level of review on those transactions. So the reason that all of those things happen is that as a protection against fraud, it's important to have multi-layers of review because when you create those segregation of responsibilities, it makes it harder and harder to take an advantage of a system, and we call that internal controls. That's how we protect taxpayer dollars from actions of fraud and things like that. And the reason we're able to do all those things is that each of the people in that process has a significant amount of operational knowledge. And so as they go through, we use our operational knowledge about budgets and payments and the things that people buy and who's authorized to sign for what. We use all of that knowledge to be able to provide a secure process that protects the financial interests of the municipality. In fairness, when the MGA speaks to the governance versus the operations role, and we invite an elected official to sign a check, what we're looking for is just the physical act of putting a signature on the check. What we shouldn't be doing is inviting an elected official into the operations to perform a review role, because that review role is very clearly operational. And there's two reasons for that. We shouldn't be asking councillors to do that. The first reason is because council in your governance role doesn't have the operational knowledge that we do to be able to provide a substantive review of a transaction of that nature. The other reason we shouldn't be asking council to do that is because of the liability protection that the MG provides you when you're in your governance role. If I invite you out to do an operational task, I'm inviting you to step out of that role and out of that liability protection, and that's not fair. So what we're looking at here in this policy is just establishing a new procedure that moves those operational tasks into the operational realm, where we have people who are specifically equipped with the operational knowledge to make sure that it's done correctly while maintaining our internal controls. So that's all the highlights I have for you. The signing authority policy, as I've drafted for council, includes a number of details. Some of those details were previously captured in the procedure that accompanied the policy, so you couldn't see them from the policy themselves. But ultimately, if you look at all those decision types, the thing that I would highlight for you is that the main feature, which is the council approval, must be in place before any of those documents are signed. And with that in place, the will of council captured, the actual physical process of signing a document can then be handled as an administrative matter. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to help you out.
All right, thank you, Councillor Effort.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess, Rob. So yeah, the first thing I was going to bring up, but yeah, those are very good explanation. I was going to talk to council about having like on a level, like if the check was over X amount of dollars, like if it was a big check. But however you said, if council makes a decision to spend $1 million on something for the water treatment plant, do we got to then look at make sure the check is the same? We're already making that decision, so there is some redundancy in that. The only question I had other than that is you said there's like 5 levels of checking it. Then I guess where would somebody bring up the problem that was in administration? Would that come to the audit committee? Just so that, how would we get that? You know what I mean? Was taking us out of that operational level. If there was something, where are we then alerted or of it?
That's a fair question. Thank you, Councillor Remford, through the mayor. So what happens is, as we go through all of these operational processes, the other piece that we prepare for council is reporting on operations. So we provide to you throughout the year a number of updates on operational spending, where we show what's been spent against the budgets. And so that's where council can get the reassurance that, one, the budgets that they have approved are being spent appropriately. And then through the other portion of operational funding, which is reporting on priorities and projects approved by council, it shows you that we're completing the task that council asked us to do. If your question was more about the internal control process of signing those checks, how do we know it's secure? It's that minimum 5 levels that we've installed there. All of those people have appropriate operational knowledge. And because the more people that you involve in a process with good, solid base of understanding about how those processes work, the more difficult it is for any one person to take advantage of financial system.
All right, thank you, Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Mr. Osmond. Yeah, it is the responsibility of council to be good stewards of the financial interests of the town of Taber. And so as long as there are adequate internal controls within the policy, which Mike, you've explained, Mike, and I'm satisfied that there are. But also I had a question is, would this policy meet the requirements of our auditor, or has it been run by our auditor?
So I haven't run the policy itself past the auditor, although it is clear in the MGA that this is a tool that municipalities are allowed to use. So many times in the MGA, they don't prescribe processes that are available to municipalities, but Section 213 specifically lists this as an acceptable assignment of signing authority. And so I don't anticipate that we would have any complications there.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor Wiebe?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support this policy as it keeps operational roles in the correct area. I would like to speak to Principle 4.2 though. As it's currently written, I find the wording ambiguous. It says the authority may be delegated further by the CAO where permitted, and it isn't clear about what the limits are or how accountability is maintained.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wiebe. Through the mayor, so the intent there is that the CAO bylaw and a number of other documents do say that it'll say the following things are assigned to the CAO, and they can further delegate those things. So there's two purposes there. One is that it makes sure that workload is appropriately distributed through the organization, so that myself as a director could then sign a document. The piece of where permitted, should I probably read, where permitted is, there are certain circumstances where, you might have a grant application with the federal government where they require the signature of the mayor. And because the grant application has that requirement, we don't have the ability to delegate that off. So that's what we're trying to preserve. Is there are some circumstances where the person who signs is dictated. There are documents in the financial year end that have to be signed by myself as the finance officer for the organization. So those can't be delegated. But yeah, that's the purpose that's there, is to say that there are times where the CAO will delegate those responsibilities to appropriate administrative staff having the right operational knowledge and oversight.
All right, thank you. Councillor Sorensen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just a comment, because I did sit on the audit committee. I think now we've changed it to the council as a whole, and so it would be nice to have some regular scheduled meetings, council of the whole for the audit committee purpose. But my comment was to, just as long as it's going to approve the external auditor's requirements, because of course we have to be accountable to that audit. So I'd be prepared to make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, very well.
The council approves the signing or authorization of municipal documents policy ADM-10 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
On to item 7.5, Community Grant Policy Renewal, PS Rec 3. Mr. Thibault.
So we have support here to answer any questions, but in your council package, it basically outlines this is our 3-year policy review, and in the background documents, we speak to the things that have been adjusted in the policy. So I'll hand it back over to council unless there is some specific questions around the next few of them, which are a bunch of recreation 3-year reviews.
All right, thank you. Anything arising whatsoever? Councillor Rumford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm ready to make the motion for the council approves the community grants program policy PSRE Rec 3 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.6, electronic signage policy. Mr. Thibault.
Again, there's not much in the way of updates. This is a 3-year policy review. So again, any questions, feel free.
Thank you. Councillor Antonuc. Close.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that council approves the electronic signage policy renewal, PS Rec-5, as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillor Firth, the next one. Item 7.7, Community and Recreation. If you're all right with that.
I am, unless administration has anything they'd like to add.
I do not.
Thank you. I move that council approves the Community and Recreation Facilities Volunteer Policy PS-Rec-7 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 7.8, Ice Surface Allocation Policy. Mr. Thibault.
I don't believe there's any recommendations for changes on this policy, so unless council had something, over to you.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm prepared to make a motion. I move the council approves the ice services allocation policy renewal PS-Rec-8 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.9, aquatic supervision policy. Mr. Thibault.
Again, no adjustments for this one. Back to council.
All right, thank you. Someone prepared to make that motion. Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make the motion that council approves the proposed aquatic supervision policy PS-Rec-11 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously also. Item 7.11, NRAD grant number 1. Mr. Thibault.
I think, Mr. Mayor, you may have missed the 7.10 policy.
Fee assistance. Yes, I did. 710. Yes. Fee assistance program policy.
And no adjustments to this policy yet.
Nothing. All right. Okay. Councillor Renford.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that council approves the fee assistance policy renewal PS-Rec-13 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Also carried unanimous. Thank you. Now, item 7.11, NRAD grant number 1. Mr. Thibault.
I can't speak as eloquently to this one, so I'll ask Ms. Amy Allred to come up and give us the NRED one.
Well, good afternoon, Council.
Good afternoon.
We have 3 applications here for the Northern and Regional Economic Development Grant. We wanted to take the approach of putting a couple of different applications in, hoping we'll get funding for a couple of them instead of one big one that we might be declined for. So the first application we have here is on behalf of the town for a tourism strategy and market readiness study. This is an important step in strengthening our investment readiness as a community, which includes supporting our local businesses, as well as providing a solid base for investors and entrepreneurs. Our last tourism strategy was done in 2015, so we are well due for a new one. The study will identify high potential visitor experiences, assess our current infrastructure and outline service needs, as well as provide actionable investment ready opportunities. We continue to see growth and interest in our festivals, recreation amenities, and family-friendly experiences. Of course, in Taber, our tourism isn't necessarily about overseas visitors trying to get them here, but it's about the families who come for a sports tournament, it's the friends and family of our residents who come to visit, and people who attend our many community events. Visitor expectations have evolved over the last 10 years quite considerably, and this project will equip us with the tools, data, and direction to support business growth, guide municipal investment, and position Taber within Alberta's growing tourism landscape. The overall project cost is $26,180, and the NRED grant would cover 50%, so our portion would be $13,090. Should the grant be approved, these approvals would come in March to let us know which ones would be. And just a note as well, if you do choose to go with the recommended motion, it should come from the operating reserve, not capital reserve. Are there any questions?
Right. Anything arising for Amy? Seeing none. Someone prepared to make a motion. Councillor Firth.
Yeah, I just prepared to make a motion. So I move the council approves funding for the Northern and Regional Economic Development Program NRED grant contribution up to $13,090 to come from operating reserves contingent on approval of the grant funding.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.12, NRED grant number 2. Mr. Thibault.
Back over to Amy.
Right, so this second NRED grant is in partnership with the region through the Joint Economic Development Committee. Last year, the JEDC received this grant for the global marketing initiative called Think Taber, which has been launched and is going really well. We brought an update to council at our last meeting. We'd like to continue to grow and expand this initiative across the region, and that's what's proposed in this NRED grant, to continue our objectives from last year, which include increasing foreign investment directly into agri-food, logistics, and warehousing industries, increasing global awareness and attracting investment, strengthening Taber's regional role as a key export hub for Canadian goods, of course with a focus on agri-food processing, showcasing our distinct advantages including proximity to the border, irrigation infrastructure, and agricultural capabilities. This second grant includes 10 months of ad creation, campaigns, testing, and analytics, as well as development of a video targeting agri-food investment and creating sector-specific investment attraction plans for the region. The total project cost is $39,000, of which NRED will pay half, and the remaining portion will be split between the town and the MD at $9,750 per partner. Again, if you do approve the motion, it should come from operating reserves.
All right. Thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Sorensen.
Anytime we can promote our town. Let's do it. So, and it's great that we're partnering with the MD with this. I'd like to make the motion that council approves funding for the Northern and Regional Economic Development Program grant contribution up to $9,750 to come from operating reserves, contingent on approval the NRED grant funding.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 713, NRED grant number 3, Community Futures, Mr. Tebow.
One more time for Amy.
All right, so
Alrighty.
this third NRED grant application is in partnership with Community Futures, who would be the project managers of this grant. This grant builds on the information we received in our 2024 Business Retention and Expansion Survey. One of the priorities that was noted in the survey is that businesses were looking for more support from the municipality, including working with partners to provide expertise and training on relevant topics. This grant funds 6 training sessions, which will be based on the 2024 survey, as well as the updated information from the second portion of the grant, which is a continuation of that study, but more diving deeper into the needs of home occupations and smaller businesses and how we can support these smaller entrepreneur-led businesses. Tabor is a very entrepreneurial community, and there are some gaps in training that we can fill with Community Futures, who is already a trusted source of business advice and support in the town. The total project cost is $32,000, with NRED paying half, and the remaining portion split between the town and Community Futures at $8,000 per partner. And again, if approved, it should come from operating reserves.
All right, thank you. Any other questions with that? To make that motion, Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd be prepared to make the motion that council approves funding for the Northern Regional Economic Development Program grant contribution up to $8,000 to come from operational budgets or reserves, contingent on approval of the grant funding.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Item. Sorry. Was that 14? That was 13. All right. Okay. We're on to item 714, Alberta Community Partnership Grant Application. Mr. Tebow.
So I'll provide some background on this one for council. We are involved in quite a large regional study for wastewater that we are already the managing partner of. This ACP grant is particular to an initiative. It's a smaller regional entity, and it's a look at the town of Tabor receiving Barnwell's wastewater and providing services to them. And so there is an ACP grant availability. There is no requirement for the town's matching portion with the ACP grant, so we can go up to $200,000. I don't know that we need $200,000, but that is the maximum that the grant allows. Well, we would like to be the managing partner on this. The MD of Tabor is involved with the Village of Barnwell. My understanding from the agenda setting meeting is this something that was entertained a while ago in the past, and maybe there's some councillors around that could expand a little bit more on that. But this is a study that would help us should we go for the actual construction of something that gives us capacities and increases our wastewater treatment plant. Water for Life grant would be one that we could look at, and they fund like 90% on the dollar for capital expansions or improvements. And so we would be interested in that if in fact we took on Barnwell's services. Barnwell just has wastewater lagoons at this point, and they don't have any treatment other than a lagoon is a form of treatment, but it's sort of the simplest form of treatment. So back over to council if you had any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Sorensen?
Not a question, but just a comment that this would be a key project as what we discuss in our joint economic development committee. And so I would fully support this in working together and collaborating with our local municipalities on projects like this.
Great. Thank you. Councillor Effort.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess to administration, is this something, if we don't get the grant, we're still following up? Like, we're not setting up Barnwell to say, hey, we want to do this, and then we don't get the grant, and it's something they want? Is this the direction we're heading? Or?
So the grant, if we didn't get the grant, Barnwell is kind of the driver of this. We're going to be the managing partner because it's our wastewater treatment facility. Barnwell has to do something. So if we don't get this grant, Barnwell is going to be motivated to have to do something else. We would like to be a part of that if we could. So if we're not successful on the grant, we probably would come back to council with some alternative, but that would be then in Barnwell's, coming from Barnwell, not initiated by us.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm always in favor of when we can collaborate with our neighbors and share services to the benefit of both. So I am prepared to make a motion.
Very well.
I move the council directs administration to make a 2025-26 Alberta Community Partnership Grant application as the managing partner of a regional project between Barnwell, the MD of Taber, and the town of Taber, up to the amount of $200,000 to support identifying the capacity of the existing town of Taber's wastewater systems and infrastructure requirements.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 7.15, department reports. Mr. Thibault.
Nothing specific to mention in the department reports, so I'll hand it over to council. We are missing a couple of the department reports. They didn't make it in on time, so we were already too far down the line of the agenda to get them added in.
All right, thank you. So I'll just go through them individually. If anybody has any questions, please advise. First off is fire department report. Councillor Weeb.
I don't have Chief Munshaw, I'm just wondering the fire extinguisher training that you provided for the youth employment program, is that available to other groups?
Yes, that is a great question, and we provide fire extinguisher training throughout the community at a free of charge. One of the sponsoring ships was the Taber Charity Auction that provided all the funding for the fire extinguisher trainers, and that is all completely donated by the fire department. And we support schools, age facilities, and different community events.
All right, thank you. On to recreation department report. HR department report. Economic development report. CAO report. Planning department reports. And administrative service report. No other questions, comments, all right? No motion required there. Moving on to mayor and or councilor reports. Deputy Mayor Sparks, we start with you, please. There we go.
As being the town's representative on the Highway 3 twinning, I attended a meeting on November 6th in Fort Macleod concerning the Highway 3 twinning. And just as a couple points of information, at the end of 2026, the 50 kilometers between Burdett and Taber will be open to traffic down the 4-lane. The cost of that project between Taber and Burdett was $270 million. They are, at this point, they are working on 11 kilometers west of the Crow's Nest Pass, and this 11 kilometers, because of the nature of where it's going, will be similar to the cost of the 50 kilometers between Taber and Burdett. There is no date set at this point for the beginning of the twinning between Burdett and Bow Island. Highway 3 will be bypassing Fort Macleod, and so there's a bit of pushback there because there's businesses that have purchased and developed highway frontage properties where Highway 3 goes through Fort Macleod. And it's going to totally bypass Fort Macleod, totally. This twinning is also going to totally bypass Bow Island also. It's going to be totally going around Bow Island. And so just a little bit of information for council that this is carrying on. Those in BC, we're hoping that the BC government would piggyback on to what the province of Alberta is doing. And because of the nature of having to blow up rock and things like this, the BC government has no want or desire to carry it on through the province of BC because of the huge costs associated with going through rock and things like that. So, thank you, Council.
Great, thank you. Councillor Effort.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The museum AGM is November 27th, coming up. I attended the jingle sale held by the library. It was well attended. It sounded like they were sold out. It was great. Santa was there. I missed him, right? I missed Santa. He was there though. I heard he did a very good job. Looked very fit, right? I participated in the Trail 77 chow mein, but just in the eating of it, right? So it looked like a good thing. I know Councillor Firth, you're probably gonna bring it up. You did help out with that. It looked like I think they raised a ton. It was sold out quick. And I attended my first SACA meeting and it was a ton of fun. It was lots of fun. So I'm glad I stayed on that.
All right. Well, thank you, Councillor Effort. All right. Councillor Weeb.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended all of the meetings I was required to attend, including the Tabor Public Library and the Tabor Exhibition Association meetings. I have also attended the counselor trainings offered. I attended the Tabor Pheasant Festival, Safe Haven's Family Violence Prevention Walk, the Town of Tabor and Tabor Legion's Remembrance Day Service, and the Chamber's Winter Festival, as well as the Tabor Public Library's Jingle Sale. I would like to commend the library on their Kids Creations Craft Market. It's a great opportunity to support our youth and their entrepreneurial endeavors. So for the last couple of years, they've been doing it every November and April.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended a variety of training sessions, as well as part of the FCSS orientation meeting. I also attended the Tabor Police Service strategic planning session with Commission and Council, the Alberta Municipalities Conference in Calgary. I took part in some sessions, some networking, and a meeting with the Minister of Municipal Affairs, along with Councillor Antonuc and Councillor Sorensen. Also attended a councillor orientation training session with council and senior administration, and the Tabor and District Community Adult Learning Association meeting. That organization will be moving into their new building downtown on Main Street in December, and they are actively recruiting board members. So if there is any members of the public that are interested, they can find more information on the website, which is taboradultlearning.com. I also attended the jingle sale. I also missed Santa. And I helped with the Trail 77 chow mein dinner, but I was only allowed to dish up rice because I don't think my skills would hold up to the rest of the chefs there.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Antonuc.
I attended a bunch of trainings. I was able to go to the Alberta Municipalities Convention, and that was my first one. It was quite a good experience. As Councillor Firth mentioned, the three of us here got to meet with Minister Williams, and it was a cool experience. We had his entourage of 10 people, and it's a little bit intimidating, but it was a good experience. And then later on, I got to have a little meeting with a different minister, Minister Wilson, over mental health and addiction, and had a good conversation with him, and was able to make some contacts there. So the trainings were good, but also the networking was a really good experience for me. Went to a council meeting training, the special commission meeting, the strategic planning meeting. It was council orientation, legislation 101, and in there I think we also did taxes and assessment 101. So I'm learning, and I'm trying my best to get in there. The only scheduled meeting I had so far was Art and Heritage Committee, but they didn't have enough items to merit a meeting in November. So that may be something to keep our eye on as well. So that's it for me.
All right, thank you, Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as you can tell, it's been a busy kind of month for all of us. A lot of social events happening in the community. We did attend a lot of council training, Legislation 101. I attended the Alberta Munis Convention also, where I just wanted to mention that Councillor Garth Beckering was recognized for his 20 years of service. So again, congratulations to him. I also attended the Winter Festival, the Pheasant Festival, the Tabor Library Jingle Sale. It was an honor for me to attend the Policeman's Masquerade Ball, which as a representative of the Police Commission, I was honored to attend that. And it was quite an honor to hear of what they've accomplished throughout the years and just to recognize the service level. And I had some MPC meetings, so things to continue to happen here in the community. And I also took place of the Tabor Police Commission and the Town of Tabor Strategic Planning Session. And I did see Santa at the jingle, and he was very jolly. I think he could have eaten a few more cookies, but I guess he'll have some here coming up. And yeah, no, that's my report.
Perfect, thank you. And for myself, a variety of meetings as well as some check signing document requirements. I did also attend the Pheasant Festival, very well done, again, as always. Year 15, very successful once again. I also did attend the police ball this year. It was a lot of fun, well attended with Councillor Sorensen as well. Sat at her table, we had a lot of fun. And great music and fun had by Hall. I also did attend the Family Violence Walk for the Family Violence Awareness Month in November. And also did attend the November 11th Remembrance Day event and marched with the police and or the fire service. Happy to be part of that. Happy you're inviting me, Chief, to do so. I did also attend the Winterfest and the tree lighting ceremonial event, as well as attending the jingle sale. Also a lot of fun, and I believe I supported Councillor Sorensen and family with their booth and several others as well. So that was very well done also, and a full house there and fun had by all. And yes, Santa did attend also. Santa was there, and I sat on Santa's knee. I think Santa's knee is all right. I don't think I crushed Santa's knee. But it was a lot of fun. I appreciate Santa being there as well. So did others. I did also attend the police strategy training. And that would be my report. Unless there's any other questions, no motion required. All right, moving on to item 717, standing item council requests. Mr. Thibault.
There is no list that's sitting here waiting, so if there was something council wished to bring up. And just a reminder that delegation is waiting online from a 5 o'clock start, so.
Oh, he's online? Oh.
Yeah, he was
okay.
coming Zoom tonight. So
I didn't know
just
that.
aware.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay. So any other, or any standing item council requests whatsoever? Okay. None whatsoever, okay. So, yes, we can move into the delegations. That would be South Grow Regional Initiative. Mr. Thibault, item 8.1.
Let's see if we can get Peter to join here. Thanks, Brian. Hello, sir. Sorry for the delay. Can you hear us okay? I can't hear you.
There
we go. Now I can. Were you going to share your screen, Peter, or did you want me to run through the presentation here?
Either would work, sir.
Easier to share your screen because you can travel yourself.
Sure.
If that works.
Hold up, we'll take care. Yep.
Just a reminder, council, should you have any questions or comments, he can only hear you if the microphone's on.
Right.
All right, Darren, can you see that?
Can so.
Right, Peter Casserella, welcome once again. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you so much for having me today, folks. Mayor, I'll try not to take too long. You guys hear from me an awful lot, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. I understand you have 2 new council members?
3 actually.
3. Excellent. Welcome. I can't see you right now, so I'll just pretend I'm in the room. By way of introduction, for those who are new, my name is Peter Casarella. I'm the Executive Director of the Southgrow Regional Initiative. I work for you in 29 municipalities across southern Alberta and going on 15 associate members now. Southgrow is one of 9 economic development alliances in the province of Alberta that were started up in the early 2000s by the government under Ralph Klein at the time as an experiment in collaboration between the provincial government and the municipalities, working together hand in hand so that we could do projects together that every community in a region had an interest in, but none of them had a mandate to do themselves with support from the government of Alberta. It's gone up and down over the years, but we're still kicking along with 8 other REITs across the province, doing that kind of work that everybody has that shared interest in, but that nobody would do themselves if they weren't in partnership. This presentation is part of my obligations to the board of Southgrow to report directly to our councils, answer questions, and give you a good understanding as best as we can in this time that we have together about what's being done with taxpayer dollars on your behalf throughout the region. So we've just got a little bit of boilerplate stuff in the slides to go through. The mission of Southgrow is to collaborate together with our municipalities to roll out economic development programs, initiatives, and partnerships that create new growth potential throughout the region. That looks like a lot of different things, depending on the time and the opportunities that are available to us. For example, for some of you who are new, we worked for almost a decade on broadband, working to map out the needs of the region, the projects that were available to actually be advanced so that we could get better connectivity throughout the region, and then put together P3 partnerships that would enable the deployment of more infrastructure so that people could have better options and more affordable options. And today, we've got some of the best connectivity in rural Canada anywhere because of a decade of hard work on that file. This was all done right before Starlink rolled out, and then kind of the cherry on top of it. But that gives you a flavor of the kind of stuff that we work on. Over the years, we've had our fingers in a whole bunch of different projects, and I've got a slide there on the next page that just gives you a high-level overview of a lot of the large studies that we've done, which have informed investments and work in southern Alberta. And happy to answer questions about any of those that you've seen in the package that you have with you today. This is just an overview on last year's operational plan. It gives you a look at what we do. Every year we build these plans to get approval from the board, and they are really operational plans that reflect the opportunities that we have in front of us right now. For example, over the past 4 years, we've just kind of wrapped this project up. We did program delivery for the federal government, building electric vehicle chargers across the province of Alberta. We built over 200 of them, with many of them going into rural communities, with over $5 million in infrastructure funding that enabled infrastructure that helps communities pivot toward providing what folks need as transportation opportunities are shifting around us. We've also been working really, really hard in recent years on marketing on the global stage for agri-food investments. So we've coming to the close of the 4th year of marketing to build awareness of the assets and opportunities in southern Alberta to the world of agri-food industry. We've been targeting businesses in Europe and North America and now into Asia for those 4 years, basically telling people that we exist and why we're important. And we're seeing fruit come to bear on that as more and more government agencies come to us to include us in trade missions abroad, and as more and more investment inquiries come through places like Invest Alberta and get funneled down to our friends along Highway 3 and into the region. It's really been a big success that when we started this 4 years ago, nobody knew who we were. They could maybe identify that Calgary was a place in Canada that existed, but they certainly didn't know that southern Alberta was a player in agri-food, and now they do. We'll have over we will have over 100 million views of our ads over 4 years by the time we cross over into the new year here at the end of this project. So in 2024, a few of the highlights there that I haven't touched on. We've got our Southern Alberta Economic Development Summit that has now 5 partnering organizations. And last year we hosted a record 189 attendees at the Agri-Food Hub over in Lethbridge. We're doing that again this year. We expect a strong turnout, able to provide content, speakers, and insights that are really unique to Southern Alberta. It's not like going to a conference in Calgary where they're talking about issues that don't necessarily matter. We're focusing on the issues that matter to our communities here in Southern Alberta. We've got a new strategic framework. This means that Southgrow While we have traditionally looked at those projects that are regional in nature, we're starting to focus a bit more on the projects that matter in our communities. That was a clear feedback from the board, as we're moving away from being funded in a huge percentage by the government of Alberta, wanting more focus on our communities. So a couple of the programs that we have available right now is that we have a grant advisory we have a grant advisory program. So any community or their nonprofits or their charities can reach out to the South Grow staff, and I've got very good staff, and get advice and guidance and help building a plan to pursue grants. We can't write them for you. We don't have that capacity, but we can guide folks through the process. We can tell them if there is money, where to find it, how to access it, and push them in the right direction. We've got, last year we did 19 communities and community groups that we helped out on that pathway, and this year we're on track to break that across the region. We're also doing a community economic development program. It's a repeat of a project that South Grow did in 2012 under my predecessors, in which we built community economic development recommendations for each of our member communities. Now, something like this doesn't matter as much for a place like the town of Taber, who has an awful lot of in-house resources and is well advanced in their economic development planning capacity. But for a place like Arrowwood or Carmen Gay or Vauxhall, it's a big deal. Now, these are well-researched recommendations for what the communities can do. We can't tell the community or their council to take the advice, but it's a resource that the CAO and the administration has right there that they can pick and pull those projects from. And we have the resources because we got grant funded for 3 years. We hired a lady named Michaela Gross from Bow Island to be our economic development officer for the region in order to coach and help our communities through that process. For a community like the town of Taber, we provide some additional bandwidth to Amy and her team on a project that is impactful to you guys there in substitute, since you already have your economic development plans. The supply chain identification project you see on your screen, this was a large supply chain mapping project we did that finished up in 2024. We tried to start this thing at the beginning of the pandemic, thinking it would be important to do a supply chain study so that we could do import replacement. It took 2 years to get this bloody thing funded, and then another 2 to get it done, and I thought we had a dead project. But now, thanks to the change in the export and import environment, all of a sudden this thing's come back around to be extremely valuable. Because we did detailed interviews with 125 regional companies, now I'm able to put it into the hands of the Alberta operatives and Canadian employees who are over in a place like Japan, and they're able to tell me which companies are really good market fit for export diversification projects. And so that we can turn those companies and say, listen, you should really be looking at markets in Japan or China or the Philippines, et cetera, because you're doing something that they have import room for within our treaties. And then we can introduce those to the folks that Canada and Alberta have over in market to help them expand their offerings into new markets as well. So it's very encouraging that it's come back around for us. Other things on the note that you'll see from 2024 is the Blackfoot Signage Project. This is going into year 3 now. It's a collaboration again with a few other different groups around the region. Last year we funded 123 signs. It's a way that we're able to leverage grants that are out there in the environment and help to put more vibrancy on the map in southern Alberta by helping organizations to fund new signs, but also putting that history on it to show that here in southern Alberta, even though our communities are only 100, 125 years old, we do have a deep, rich history that's there to be explored on the tourist side of things. And I like that project. It's a really good one. We also delivered 5 affordable housing assessments to member communities who weren't able to get these studies done through any other avenue. These tend to be smaller communities that just didn't have the resources to pull them off themselves, so that then they can have that critical piece available to them to apply for federal funding when it comes back around. Here's an overview of the current year's project as well. Happy to talk about anything you might see on there and what we're working on. Trying to pick out the right one. We've talked about export development a little bit. There's 2 things that have really occupied a lot of my personal time this year as we've worked on this, is looking into what our role is in export development. We've talked for decades here in Canada about needing to diversify our exports and our markets, just like any business who would want to diversify their customers so they're not so dependent on one customer who's buying from them if something goes wrong. And really the thing that we found is going into markets and learning what supports exist and what other businesses have done in order to go into markets. So when John Turcato from the MD and I just went over to Japan in October here, we met a guy named Theo Peter Thiel. No, not Peter Thiel. His last name is Thiel, though. And he's building a fava bean fractionation plant up in Newell County. And he was there as well with us at Health Ingredients Japan. And he's 2 years into the process of working with the Canadian representatives over in Japan to get into market and to export more of his goods to that market. And we were able to learn from him what his process has been. And now my team's in the process of setting up a webinar with our growers associations down here in Southern Alberta and reaching out to that list of 125 businesses that we did detailed interviews with in order to show them the pathway that exists and shepherd them forward. Happy to answer questions about anything else you see on that list. Some regional challenges, of course, that we deal with are up on the board for you to give you some context. Labor force and housing constraints are still overwhelming people's concerns in this day to day. Tabor has done an awful lot of work on both of these fronts, advancing your housing projects to get over 300 doors moving throughout the community over the last few years. And of course, the market attraction programs that you have out there to try to get more people to work, to move to Tabor or consider it as a place that they can live and work and grow their families. I always encourage councils to keep long-term water sustainability on your list. I know you guys are doing a lot on this front with the horsefly spillway upgrades and making sure that there's capacity in the system to capture water, to prevent overland flooding. And just remember to lend your voice to any of the initiatives such as additional reservoirs on the St. Mary, that kind of thing. And your immediate opportunities, really, I don't have any advice to give you. Tabor is one of the most highly functional communities in the region because you do have your own in-house resources that you're putting to good work. And I commend your staff for the good work that they're doing out there. I'm happy to answer any questions about the work that we're doing. What comes next? Our quarterly meeting is on December the 11th in Monarch, being hosted by Lethbridge County. It's also the elections for our executive. We have a couple of open spaces on the board, and it's a really, really fun committee. The members of the executive who oversee the association and keep tabs on the staff and make sure we're doing our jobs often get to do really, really fun things. So if you're thinking of an engaging committee that would enable you to do some fun things, keep that in mind. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much, Peter, for your presentation. Very well done, as always. Any questions for Peter whatsoever? Pretty easy room today, Peter. Looks like. So thank you once again, Peter. Oh, Councillor Sorensen, she does have some.
Sorry, well, I don't see that the presentation was provided to council, so if administration could do that, that would be great. And I didn't see the date for the Southern Alberta Economic Summit, so if Peter could just mention if you knew the dates yet?
Yeah, so the presentation not getting to you, that's my fault and my team's fault, not your staff. I thought it had been sent over, but Taylor reached out to me before this meeting and said, hey, I don't have it. My bad. And the Economic Development Summit, it's right near the end of March. I'm just looking for the actual date here. I believe it's the 26th of March. I can get back to you, Councillor, on that and make sure that it's for sure. Kim's in charge of planning this together with the committee that she has set up for it.
All right, where is that held this year, Peter? Do you know where that is?
Yeah, it'll be at the Agri-Food Hub in Lethbridge, or whatever they're calling it these days.
Great. Yeah, that's name change every once in a while. You're right. All right. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Thank you once again, Peter. Appreciate that once again.
Thank you very much.
Just ask for a motion to accept that for information, please. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council accepts the 2025 South Gore Regional Initiative delegation as information.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And our item 8.2, we have our delegation, Mr. Walter Hornby, that's here with us today. Mr. Thibault?
Yeah, Walter, if you could come up. I think the presentation or the information you had went to council in the package, so I'll hand it over to you, sir.
Yes, Walter, welcome. Good to see you again. Just want to hit your mic there, Walter. Just there you go. That's the lip. Looks like it's good. All right.
Way too technical for me.
Pardon me? Yeah. Pretty basic, yeah.
Alrighty, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Walter Hornby, and I was the co-match director along with Rob McKenzie for the 2025 IPSC Canadian Handgun Nationals held at the MD Tabor Sports Shooting Complex, July 28th to August 2nd of 2025. So this match was planned to hold up to 550 competitors, but we only ended up with a total of 416. We had competitors from across Canada as well as a few Americans. A total of 18 stages plus chronograph was shot, which meant a minimum of 327 rounds per competitor, or a total minimum of 136,000 rounds with 0 accidents. The economic impact of an event like this is huge. If we base it on the 460 competitors for a stay of 6 days with an average spend of 200 days, and using a factor of 7 for how many times the dollar circulates through a community, this works out to $4,368,000. Unfortunately, Taber does not have the infrastructure to hold an event of this size. We did as much as we could locally. We had 60 hotel rooms reserved in Taber for competitors, as well as we had support from a few local businesses. This included Cooper Rentals, Boston Pizza, Mediterranean Grills, and Dickey's Barbecue Pit. I estimate the economic impact to Taber to be $2 million, with the other $2 million being in Lethbridge.
All right. Well, thank you, Walter. Thanks so much for your presentation and putting on that event with all that were involved with that. That was a super event. I spent a few days there, several days there myself, and I know we had 6 of our council members there all at once in one day. That was impressive and very well received and very interesting and very well run event, and definitely benefit for Taber area. Absolutely. Any questions whatsoever for Walter? Councillor Rempert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess, do you see any future events like this coming?
Not this large. Probably this year we'll be looking at holding 1 or 2 matches there. And that usually brings about 120 people into town for the weekend. So, no, nationals rotate all around the country. And next year it's in Prince George. In 28, 27, it's going to be in New Brunswick, probably in Ristigouche. We haven't confirmed that yet. Oh yeah, we get very good.
Where would you rate it in
In
Canada?
Canada, I'd rate it probably in the top 5 ranges in Canada.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, thank you.
Very well received facilities.
Councillor Sorensen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I just commend all of the volunteers who organized this huge competition, I believe it is, and I just want to know, I was watching the Alberta team, were they successful in their retaining their championship?
No, not this year.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, they
Should
were
have
second.
cheered them on. But again, it was a great event, and I just want to thank all the volunteers for helping support this community event.
I didn't figure how many man hours we had into it, but basically for most of the month of July, I was living out at the range.
Right, and many other volunteers as well. So well done, Walter, and with all your team and putting on such a tremendous event. As I said, it was a benefit to Taber area, and absolutely putting Taber area on the map in a very positive way. And ultimately keeping everything safe and as it should be with those type major events. So thank you once again. All right, unless there's any other questions, I guess that should do it for now. Thank you, Walter. Thank you once again. Thanks, you as well. No motion required on that one. So with that, Mr. Tebow, any media inquiries?
I'm going to have to say there's none.
Consistent. That's right. All right. Just ask for a motion to move into our meal break. And we'll reconvene, if you could reconvene in our closed session item, please. Councilor Sorensen?
I'd like to make a motion that we go into our meal break and then continue into our closed session.
Very well. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimous. Thank you.